Hey, everybody. As you may know, President Biden is still recovering from COVID at home in Delaware. And in the wake of his announcement yesterday that he will not seek reelection, he gave a press conference in which he reiterated his support for Vice President Kamala Harris to be his successor. His remarks were incredibly moving and absolutely unequivocal. Vice President Harris went to visit President Biden's staff, and she gave some indication of how she's going to run her campaign against Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And I promise you, it is going to make your day. So we've got some clips to go through with you. Please enjoy. Let's dive in.
I want people to remember that what we have done has been incredible, and we get so much more we're going to get done. And so I want to say hello to Kamala if she can hear me. I know she's going to be speaking shortly. And I want to say to the team, embrace her. She's the best. I want to call today to thank everybody in this effort. I know yesterday's news was surprising, and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me to help us win this thing, help me get this nomination, help me win the nomination, and then go on to win the presidency. But you know, you're an amazing team. But we've got a great. I think we made the right decision. I know how hard you've worked, how many sacrifices you made. And so many of you uprooted your lives for me, and the kind of commitment few people make for anything these days, but you made it. And I've been honored and humbled. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. My word is a Biden, that for all you've done for me and my family.
I hope everybody realizes what an extraordinary man President Biden is. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit speechless at the moment. I haven't heard that clip before. And I have to admit that yesterday when I heard the news, I didn't process it immediately. I mean, it's so huge. It is literally the first time in American history anything like this has happened before. And we've already been living through history in a way that most people haven't. So it's a lot to take in. It is a lot to take in. And one of my first reactions on hearing the news was relief, not because President Biden had decided not to run. I fully supported him. I was glad that the uncertainty was over. I was relieved for his sake as well as for our sake. But now it's sort of hearing him speak the way he just did kind of brought it home to me. Not just what he has done for this country, but what he's committed to continuing to do for this country and for the future of this country, but also the sacrifices this man has made and what he's suffered personally and on our behalf. So I can't think of anybody who deserves our gratitude more than President Joseph Robinette Biden. I'm almost speechless that he has the strength, the fortitude, and the just fundamental decency time and time again to do what is right for this country, even if it's at his expense, to rid us of the threat that faces us every single day because the Republican Party has gone down a very, very dark path. And I think I understand how President Biden feels about Donald Trump. And I know that he wanted to take him on. And I personally believe that he would have been successful. But to pass the torch to Kamala Harris at a time when we really needed some certainty is an act of bravery that I think is unparalleled in modern American political history. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, President Biden.
The name has changed at the top of the ticket, but the mission hasn't changed at all. And by the way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be out there in the campaign with her, with Kamala. I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning. You know, what we still need to save this democracy. And Trump is still a danger to the community. He's a danger to the nation. And just ask my foreign policy colleagues, my counterparts, and other people around the world and at home.
Okay. President Biden seems determined to make me cry. Seriously though, that is how it's done. That's dignity, that is grace, that is self-awareness, that's wisdom. You heard President Biden say some words that you will never, ever hear out of Donald Trump's mouth, at least not said with sincerity. He said he's humbled. He said he's honored by the work people have done on his behalf, by the faith people have placed in him. But he also knows, in ways that none of us can possibly imagine, that he's made the right decision. And having made that decision, he has placed his entire confidence on Vice President Kamala Harris. He's made it as clear as one possibly could that he supports her unreservedly. And he wants us to do the same. And I agree. I think she deserves our support. And my support for her is as unwavering as my support was for him. So again, thank you, President Biden. You have inspired me in ways that I honestly, in 2020, I would not have thought possible. And I believe now more than ever that we are going to win this thing in November. And not only that, we are going to win so big that we can finally move on from this nightmare of which Donald Trump is the lead character.
So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as Vice President, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California, and before that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And that, my friends, is what we call a mic drop. Okay. What Vice President Kamala Harris and future President Kamala Harris just did is make it as clear as it could possibly have been made that Donald Trump has every reason to be very, very afraid. And that makes me laugh.
As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud.
Oh, Donald. Your competitor, although it doesn't really seem fair to call her your competition since she is so far superior to you, but your new competition in this contest has your number. You can try to change it. You can try to get an unlisted one, but she's not going to stop. She's not going to pull punches. She will be relentless. And guess what? There will be tens of millions of people behind her all the way. Your time has come. And I think, honestly, the simplest thing to do at this point would be for you to do to the Democratic Party what you are accusing the Democratic Party of having done to you. Change the rules of the game. You're very upset that President Biden has decided not to run for re-election because it has completely upended your election strategy against, which was solely designed to be against him. For reasons that maybe you can't completely fathom, you're deeply, deeply unhappy about having to run against Kamala Harris. I think the simplest thing to do, because turnabout is fair play, make it harder for her and drop out. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your being here. We could not do this without you. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be sure to be alerted every time a new show drops on Mary Trump Media. And we have lots of amazing content: Morning Gen, Democracy-ish, Reverse Shot, America's Show. What's the other one called? Oh yeah, Nerd Avengers. So please keep coming back, and we will keep giving you the kind of content you're going to need to get through this absolutely insane and fascinating election season. See you tomorrow or sooner, given the way the world continues to unfold. Stay safe.